Hey everybody, welcome to Level Pixel Level. In the last video, I added the final controls to the eyes and the helmet. In this video, I'm just going to do some cleanup on the rig, make some final shapes, and do some final weight painting. First thing I'm going to do is just select on these controls here, or sorry, these control shapes that I made, and I'm very quickly going to go through and rename them. They're just called circle for now, so I'll probably just give them some names really quickly just so I can grab them later if I want to. Okay, so I've renamed all of those, and what I'm going to do is just grab them all. I don't need them to be really visible anymore, so I'm going to shift click on my root control shape right now, just do Control P and just parent them all into there. Now what I can do is if I hold Control and Shift on my keyboard, I can click on the Select Viewport Visibility Screen and Render, and what it does is just hides the parent and all the children. So again, I hold Control and Shift while I click on these to change the entire parent hierarchy at the same time. All right, let's fix some weight painting issues that I found though. One big issue I found on both the rigs was that the arms aren't actually parented to anything really. If I move this joint here, always make sure you turn off auto IK as well. That's what was causing a lot of those issues right there, but I'll show you some of the problems that this rig has right now. If I move this spine joint right here and just rotate it, the arms aren't moving with it, and I do want that to go with it, so that the main shoulder actually moves with the arms, whether I'm in IK or FK. So I'll just select on the FK main shoulder, shift click on the main spine, go to edit mode, do Control P, keep offset. Now when I rotate that spine, I get everything moving with it. I can quickly test this in IK as well too. So I'll just flip to IK mode on both wrists here, because I made that switch earlier. I'll just rotate it. Yeah, and I'm just getting some fun IK controller there. That should work all the way down, so now I can move my entire character with that IK setup. Alright, so I noticed some weight painting issues back here. I'm just going to do a really kind of messed up pose. So there I have some weight painting issues that I got to fix. Yeah, it's got some problems. I noticed some on the arm. What I usually do with the arm is just grab it and I'll just move it. I'm going to flip back to FK mode. I'll do the same thing here. Just pull the arms out. Again, I'm just looking for any loose vertexes like that one right there. The quickest way to find these is to just pull the character really far away to see where those problems are. So I have some in there too that I got to fix. I think this side might be a little bit better. Nope, it has some of the same issues. Let's grab the leg now and just pull it away in IK. Okay, and I can see some issues that I have there as well too. So to paint this, I'm going to click on my deform rig, shift click on my mesh, and just flip to weight paint mode. I'm going to go to vertex mode, and I can't see anything right now because in edit mode they're actually hidden. So in edit mode I got to do Alt H to bring it all back, and I'll flip back to vertex mode. Vertex mode you can also flip to with V on the keyboard. So I want to connect to this joint right here, and I'm just going to paint that to it. I'm going to look at the actual section itself here. So it's looking at the hand, the arm, and the spine. It's that spine control that's keeping a lot of these weights. So actually something I might do is just keep the spine control selected, go to my tool, go to subtract, and actually subtract from all these pieces here. It's a lot easier than going one by one through them and just trying to figure out where they're actually painted to. Okay, so I think that's good. I'll just flip to wireframe mode. Yep, it's looking good like that. And this side's looking good as well too. Okay, the leg seems to be a different issue. Something is pulling this part right here. So I'll click on this vertex. I'm holding shift and clicking on it as well, by the way. I'll go to item and I'm just going to look at what it's looking at here. So here's the problem. This is the right foot, but it's also looking at the foot on the left right there. So with that foot left selected, I'm just going to subtract the weights from it. I'm going to do hip and subtract that as well too. So it's still in the air. I'm just going to go to leg R. And this actually doesn't need to be looking at the right foot. And that's probably the problem right there. So as I get rid of that right foot weight, it just cleans that up. So that vertex had a couple problems. It was looking at a couple different places, and that's what was mostly causing the issue on that piece. Now I just want to look at this one here too. So this is looking entirely at the leg. I think that's fine for now. If I do have a pose like this where I want to fix it, I'll probably just add a corrective shape. Let's look at this one here though. This is looking at the pelvis shape and the leg shape here. So I think I'm just going to paint it a little bit more to the leg. That seems to be going in the opposite direction. Let's try the pelvis control. Yep, that's looking a little bit better. So I'm just trying to even out that vertex there just so it's following along with the leg. Same with this one here. It's got everything on the right leg, and I think that's fine. It's getting tough to see right now. I'm just going to flip it to material, just so I can see what I'm actually painting here. So I don't like that that's going back there. And it's because I still have subtract on. I'll just flip my brush to add. And I'll go back to my right leg and just paint that back. I think I'll do the same right here as well. Just clean up that leg shape a little bit. I'll do the same thing on these pieces here and these ones here. So I'm just trying to bring back like that cylinder shape and have a nice fall off towards the pelvis shape there. All right, so I might pull those back to the pelvis a little bit. I think they've gotten a little bit too far. So go to my pelvis control and just paint them back. And I don't mind if it's sort of stretching there right now. I'm just trying to get it a nice fall off. And this is an extreme pose. I have pulled the legs to an extreme pose and the arms to an extreme pose here. But if I can get it looking nice in this pose, I'm pretty safe in a lot of the poses that I'm going to try to hit once I start animating this. All right, that's looking good. So I'll flip back to object mode, go to my control rig and just zero everything out. So I'm just selecting everything and doing Alt-R and Alt-G. Okay, I'm going to turn off axes and my viewport display under the rig because I don't need them anymore. And I want to do one last bit of cleanup on my deform rig. I just wanted to make sure my shoulder on this rig here is actually parented to my spine control here. So I'm just going to look at the bone here. You can see this information under relations. You can see the parent. Okay, that's looking good still. Same with the pelvis and same with the hips. Okay, I just want to make sure that that was all good before I go to my control rig and do one last thing. Okay, there's one last sort of piece of automation that I want to add on into this character. And that's that front flap right there. I almost wish it could stay like always 50% between the two legs and 50% between the two legs here. So I'm just going to isolate the rig for a second. And again, I'm just going to turn off shapes on my rig just so I can see the actual joints. I want to look at the leg IK joints as well too, which I believe are in this layer right here. So to build this, I'm actually going to build a joint going across here, and it's actually going to push out to both here and here. And then this one's going to point to it. But I'm going to add it on a parent so I can always rotate it freely if I want to. So let's start with that. I'm just going to go here and just extrude a bone. I don't want X mirror on right now. I just want to do this in one spot. So I'm going to turn off X mirror and click on this and just hit delete. All right, this one here, I'm just going to stretch over to the other knee here. And I'll just flip the roll to 0 because it can just look down the X. So in pose mode, if I move this, it's going to do that, but I kind of want to constrain it so it's always looking at this knee joint here. So I'll click on this leg, shift click on this bone, do Control Shift C, and I'm going to do a stretch 2, but it points up here now, and that's because under the constraint, I can either choose to look at the head or the tail. I'm going to look at the tail in this case. Now that did break the stretch 2. I need to reset this, and the reset button is actually just this original length. This might have changed in a couple of recent versions. But I just want to click on this X here and it'll reset that original length. Now when I move this, I get that. So I get this bone that's always going to be halfway in between the two knees, which now I can point this bone to it. Okay, so let's duplicate this bone forward. And if I click on this joint here, and I'm just going to name this leg center for now. If I do Shift S and cursor to selected, it'll put the cursor right in the center of that joint. So I'll do Shift S on this bone and do selection to cursor. Now I can just turn on my snapping tool and grab this to here. Okay, I'm going to parent it to this bone here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to duplicate it and rotate it on the X a bunch. It doesn't have to be exact, and I'll just snap it to this bone here. All right, these bones have some odd rolls, so I'll just select on them both. Go to my roll under item, just make the roll 0. Yep, that's looking good. Now, when I flip back to pose mode and grab my leg control, those two still have the constraints. That's because I duplicated them from the other bones. I'll just delete the constraints on them. Oops, not on that one, on this one. So now if I move this, they're always going to follow along between the two legs, sort of halfway in between. The last step for this is to take this joint here, shift click on this one, do Control-Shift-C, and do a damped track. And again, I want to do it to the tail. I'll do the same thing from this one to this one here. I'll do a damp track, and I want to do it to the tail. All right, let's look at that with the character. So now when I move the foot, whoops, that was freaking out because I had snap turned on. Cool, I get that little bit of automation there on that flap when he's moving his leg. Now I'm gonna have to counter it a little bit at certain times. This is really the only automation that I'm adding in on this rig. With this as a damp track, I can't actually rotate this. So to achieve this, I'm going to give both of these joints a parent. So I'm going to close them both. I'm going to flip to edit mode and just scale them down. And then I'm going to duplicate these and just scale them up. And I'll hold G and just snap this to the end of the bone here. Flip to wireframe mode, click on the inner bone and parent it to the outer bone. Back in pose space, I'll do my damp track to here. Again, I'll do it to the tail, and I'll do my damp track to this one here. I'll do it to the tail. All right. I'm going to give these two a shape though, just so I can see them. I'm going to give it circle 02. Oh, but I renamed them. So I'll just look at my spine control and just copy the name, which was circle XZ. So this one, I'll give that control, circle XZ. And I'll do the same with this one here. Let's put all of these into a different layer though. So I'll select on all these bones. I don't ever need to see them, so I can move them off to a mechanic layer here. And these two, I'll just add to a bone group. I'll put them in, I'll just add a new one. I'll call it cloth, I guess, for now. These can be purple, and I'll just click assign. Cool, so I'll turn the shapes back on. And I'll bring back my mesh. And I'll just turn off X-ray. Now as I move my leg, oops, I get that little bit of automation, and I can grab this at any time and counter it. That's what I wanted to achieve there with that little bit of a mechanic setup. These are really fun to set up. I really enjoy doing them. So you can see the whole mechanic setup working there. And I can still just rotate this freely. Again, I'm doing this all on my control rig, so it's a pretty fun setup where I can actually have these be adjusted. Again, I might just have to pull that out once for the entire animation, and now it's always going to be moving halfway in between the foot. And I get that for free. I am going to have to adjust this later on. It is going to be something I'm going to have to play with, but it's just something I want to try for this just to see if I could achieve it for that piece. On a character design note, things like these are expensive. So if you want to add these to your character design, just be aware of that when you're planning things for animation. All right, let's hide those bone groups there on the IK, and let's hide the deform rig now. I don't need it anymore. And I'll turn off in front on this rig. That's it. My control rig is built. Just in these 25 easy steps, and you can build a control rig. In the next video, I'll play around with an animation test on this. I just want to see how far I can push this in a walk cycle and see if there's going to be any issues with the actual rig itself. Then I'm going to start bringing this into a game engine and trying it out with some mechanics and see how well I can bake this out and get this character moving around. Thank you so much to my patrons for supporting this video and supporting the series. It's because of you guys that I can make these videos. Head on over there if you want exclusive content, behind the scenes footage, and early access to all these videos. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.